Actually, at one point in my life, I wanted to know, why am I Catholic? Was it because I was born of Catholic parents? Well, I wasn't too comfortable with that. What if they made a mistake and I'm propagating the mistake myself? So I got to studying the beginning of all religions, when they took place, who started them, and so forth and so on. And what I found was that all religions arose to the same God. So I found out that I was satisfied that I might as well stay where I was born, because if mine is just as good as anybody else's, why change? The only thing sometimes we need to look out for is for their representatives. Sometimes they make mistakes and mislead us also in their own mistakes. So we need to watch out for that. But all religions are good. Stay wherever you are. Don't want to change. Just do a good job wherever you are. And it's the same God. All roads are leading to the same God. Whatever you want to call God, or whatever that is you call God, high intelligence, the great architect, or whatever, it is the one who reigns over the whole universe. So stay wherever you are. I will stay as a Catholic, of course. There are many techniques for relaxation. Yogis have their own, Zen masters have their own, transcendental meditators have their own, in hypnosis they have their own, and we also have our own. Now, we have investigated all of them, and we found a little here and there something that we did not quite agree with. So we created our own. And we have found that the countdown is like going into something, down into more relaxed states and so on, instead of counting forward, you see. Forward is getting up and awakening and moving on, just calming down and reducing and so forth. Every time you reduce or count down and so on, it's more relaxing than doing the opposite. Some tense their arms and then let go. Well, this is physical and mental relaxation. You relax mentally and your body will relax physically. Now, you don't have to relax your body first before you relax your mind. Relaxing your mind will relax everything about you. Everything is mind first, then later it'll be something else. So remember that what happens at the world of the mind will happen in the world of physics. So by relaxing mind, you're satisfied to relax everything else, body included, of course. There are a lot of fears people have about their concepts of life and so on. But remember that evil is when something is done that's against either God's creation or that hurts somebody, causes suffering, and so on. It's not evil until it does this. Evil is not manifested. Evil is manifested only when it has done evil. When the evil thing has taken place, it's evil. We do not know evil from whatever is good before it takes place and acts on someone. So the results is what counts. Were the results detrimental, then whatever took part in causing this detrimental effect is considered to be evil. Now, if the benefits are good, then of course it's not evil. So actually, we need to first, what are we talking about? Are we talking about fears? If a person fears that there are evil spirits or whatever, they are creating those concepts in their own minds. They are creating the evil spirits in their own minds. It will exist only for them because they are the ones who have created those evil spirits existing in their own minds. So if people do not believe and do not fear evil, there would be no evil. So actually, we need to look into what's good and what's bad. And what's good is everything that is constructive, creative, and alleviates suffering. What's evil or bad is what causes suffering and destroys for no reason, for just destroying. And this is what we need to consider now. From here on, we know it's simple to understand what's evil and what's not evil. But actually, fears is something else. Sometimes people will bring on what they fear the most because it's in their heart. It's because they have created it already in their minds. So if they do not create evil in their minds, it will not exist. So actually, it's a way of thinking. There's no such a thing as evil spirits. If God is all powerful, God would have created the evil spirits if God wanted them. But how can one create something that will destroy your own creation? God is not, in a sense, ignorant to be able to create something that destroys its own creation. Because God is all powerful, He will not allow nothing to hurt His creation, and we are part of God's creation. Now remember that a person who maintains a negative mental attitude is the one who always creates problems. The person who maintains a positive mental attitude is the one who solves problems. People would like to know, how can I strengthen my desire towards one direction or the other? That's one thing to consider. For instance, we're saying that in case of habits, you want to program to have less and less desire to whatever it is, smoke, drink, or use drugs. Well, actually, considering a desire, how do you strengthen a desire is by always repeating, either mentally or verbally, that you desire. That's one thing. Now, how do you weaken a desire? Is to program that it get less prominent. So in this case, think less about it. Try and get your mind off that you have a habit about. If you have a habit of smoking, don't think about smoking. Try and keep it out of your mind as much as possible, because everything has to be mind first. If it's done in the mind, if you, let's say, imagine that you're smoking, by gosh, I mean, immediately you want to smoke, you see. Because you're thinking about smoking, you are reinforcing that particular thing that you desire. Well, don't think about it, because if the opposite is strengthening a desire, is strengthening a belief, is strengthening a hope, is by, how do you strengthen it? By repeating it mentally or verbally, and it gets stronger and stronger. Whatever power is there, it's like accumulating energy in a spiritual dimension, an intangible, invisible dimension that you use to work with, that you use for being able to solve problems with. This is how you reach your goals. So if you strengthen your desire by repetition and by frequently thinking about it, then to weaken it, do the opposites. Don't think about it. Try not to think about it. Think about something else. In other words, as soon as your thought comes to mind, immediately program yourself to think about something else. Get your mind off of it, and the desire will weaken. So you always want to program to have less and less desire towards whatever you have a habit for, such as smoking or drinking or drugs. So this is the area of desire. How to strengthen it, how to weaken it. Now, in order for, about the book here, we're talking about the little book that has the instructions of how to help others. If you have been helped by our system, our method, and you are already functioning at your level, and remember that we call it your level, the alpha dimension, we call it your level, being aware that you can use your right brain hemisphere to think with. We call it the level, the one area of your brain that reigns in the invisible mental world. The world where everybody believes God exists, where everybody, or some religious people, believe that the Holy Ghost exists. It's an invisible, real existing dimension, the mental world, the invisible world. We come from, before birth, from the invisible world, and we go back into, after death, into the invisible world again. We go back to where we came from. Well, that is the invisible world. Everything has to take place first in the invisible mental world before it can be materialized. So in this case, remember that the going to your level means, using the alpha dimension, means the one dimension that deals with the mental world. Means that here is where we should imagine and we should visualize, meaning the faculties, the major faculties that are used in the world of the mind to start the creative process. This is the beginning of all things, visualization and imagination. Now we need to know what is visualization and imagination. But actually, before we go into this, the little blue book has the information, the step-by-step procedures. When one person has succeeded in what we are teaching, then that person can use the little blue book and pass it on to others. So others will also be able to function in that dimension. And this is the dimension that we are saying is the door to the alpha dimension, the door to the invisible world, the door to the kingdom of God, and so forth and so on, where things should take place first before they can be materialized. So then, about the little blue book and about the information there. That information is very useful, very effective when read to another person, and when the person that's doing the reading has already succeeded in our teachings. Succeeded has found, that means has found the proper dimension to speak from, has found the alpha level. So that little book contains the information, the step-by-step procedure, how a person can help others to also be, we call it centered, be able to use that same dimension that they have learned to use. So it's we call it sometimes the keys to the kingdom, because we believe that this is what someone, a master who came before us, was teaching his disciples to become prophets and wise men. In order to do this, you first need to enter the kingdom of heaven, he said, and once there, function within God's righteousness, and he adds, and everything else will be added unto you, meaning everything else is possible. And this is what we are now also helping people to understand, that they can also function in this dimension. What is possible? To do away with stress, which is what hurts your immune system the most. And when your immune system gets hurt and gets weak and out of control, even if we have said, even if you are a medical doctor, you're going to die as dead as anybody else. Now this is the area where we're strong, in the area of strengthening immune systems. Now where does the immune system find its strength, its stress? In this same dimension, the alpha dimension, the kingdom of heaven that's within us. Scientists have proven that we can slow down our brain activity to 10 cycles, meaning 10 vibrations or emanations or pulsations per second. You have entered that inner kingdom, the alpha dimension. Now, your brain, you see, vibrates like your heart beats, but your heart beats so many times per minute, and your brain vibrates so many times per second, like your radio does. Radio frequencies are measured per second. Millions or thousands. That when you talk about radio waves, you talk about thousands or kilocycles. You talk about television, it's higher. You talk about millions, talk about megacycles. Well, the brain functions, basic units. I mean, simple basic numbers from 1 to 20. 20 is your overall vibration of human adults. The overall brain frequency vibration of children is always lower than that of adults. But then again, between when you were born, I started to vibrate your brain, and then up to the overall average maximum, 20 vibrations overall. The center is the kingdom that we're looking for. Slow down. You need to slow down your brain activity. You need to know how to slow down your brain frequencies to find that center dimension that used to be considered the subconscious. Now, once you learn to enter that dimension, we are saying you're learning to enter your level. Your level then will be the alpha level. Your level would then be using the right brain hemisphere, that only about 90% of humanity were able to use only the left one. Now, they're learning to use the right one also, because only 10% of humanity was able to use both of them. One to think on and the other one to act on. To think correctly, you need to think at the center of your brain frequency spectrum. You need to think with your right brain hemisphere and act with your left one. So this little book is helping people to be able to slow down their brain waves and to be able to find that dimension and to continue to use it from there on. Why? Because once you learn to function in that dimension, all your problems are going to be analyzed at the center with your right brain hemisphere. Now, when you are functioning, trying to solve problems with your right brain hemisphere, in this instance, in this condition, 10 cycle vibration is what strengthens your immune system and keeps it strong, keeps you from getting sick, keeps you healthy. How are you going to be healthier? By deciding to solve more problems. And this is your bonus. This is something extra that will be added on to you. When you decide to solve problems, what are you doing? You're helping your fellow human beings. You're helping God with creation, and so on. So your bonus will be better health. When you're functioning at 10 cycles, brain frequency, you have entered a universal frequency that's found in space by scientists. 10 cycle brain frequency is the fundamental frequency. When you function there, you're strengthening your immune system. And of course, then, this is what keeps you strong and healthy. So, the little book is helping people to find that dimension, that center, where not only will you be healthier, but you're going to be more spiritual. You want to go more to church because it's a good thing to go to church, to be able to pray to your God there. Not only will you become more spiritual and healthier, but you will become safer from accidents. Why? Because your right brain hemisphere is the intuitive brain hemisphere. It has special sensing faculties that will give you ideas what road to take because it's safer automatically. So you will be safer from accidents. People who get into accidents more so are the people who do not know how to function within this dimension. So once you learn to function in this dimension, you will be less accident prone, it is said. Now another thing that you will be getting benefit from is you are going to be more times right than wrong, because intuition again, you won't make so many mistakes. Bad luck comes from making mistakes. And once you make a mistake because you did not know any better, that is called because of ignorance. Ignorance does not exempt you from suffering. Once you make a mistake, you're going to suffer for it. So again, this will help you not only to become spiritual, become more healthier, become safer, and more successful in life, because you're going to be more times right than wrong. Now, all of this information will be gotten from the inner kingdom, kingdom of heaven, the alpha dimension, the use of the right brain hemisphere, and that little book has information how one person can help another by reading that exercise that's there for a time limit of about 10 hours. You want to read the exercise? Be sure you take down the time. How long did it take you? Mention the first word, take your time. Mention the last word in the exercise. It's a mental training exercise. Also consider the time. How long did it take you to read the complete exercise? If you find that it took you 20 minutes, for instance, well, you know if you read 3 times, it will go an hour. Well, maybe you want to read once a day. So in 3 days, you already have 1 hour of reading the exercise to someone. Now, once you get to 10 hours, it is taken for granted that the person who's doing the reading has already benefited from our system. That person can be a teacher for others. Then the other person who has heard this one, person number one, do the reading, can also do reading for others and help others to enter the same dimension, to become better, superior human beings. Remember that about the name given to the system, mind control. We're saying that mind control, for instance, is the proper name. The yogis use thought, thought or mental exercises, which is the same thing. Mental exercises to thought processes to reach their goals. Zen masters use mental exercises, thought control to get to where they need to go. Well, the yogis or transcendental meditators and hypnotists and everybody were using thought control to be able to find their own goals, their own objectives. We also use thought control, and thought control is mind control. This is why we don't want to call it something else, we call it what it is. Thought control is mind control, your own self-mind control. You don't want to control nobody else's mind. You want to control your own mind, because we know that an uncontrolled mind is always destructive. To be constructive and creative, we must establish discipline in our own minds. And this is what we mean, auto mind control.